Hello, everyone. Welcome to Royal Black and Elite. I'm Lady TrenettWilson, your lecturer and social historian. Today's lecture is going to talk about a woman who a lot of people don't know. As you know, a lot of our Black history has been hidden, but I'm so excited to introduce you to Georgia Ann Robinson today. She is the nation's first female Black police officer who was actually sworn in. So, everybody, welcome. Hello, Royalers. I'm so glad you could join me. You all don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. You know, I'm out here swinging against these AI people. So I am enjoying the lessons that we've been doing here for Black History Month. Make sure you click down below so you can meet some more really great people in our Black history. So Miss Georgia Ann was actually born Georgia Ann Hill, and she was sworn in on June 10th, 1919. Now, her career ended very sadly. And so we'll get into that. And what they gave her to fight crime, it was really laughable. And we'll get into that also. But she was born in Opelousas, Louisiana on May the 12th, 1879. Now, her mother passed when she was young. So she was raised by her mother, which they didn't mention her name, nor did they mention her father's name. But that's who raised her mother, until her mother passed, and then her big sister, or her older sister, raised her. But even then, she couldn't really take care of her because she wasn't much older than her. So she was orphaned. And so she grew up in a convent. Now, she was there until she turned 18 years old when she left in Louisiana and went to Kansas and started working as a governess. And that's a fancy word for saying like a daycare. So she was a person who took care of children. So in 1906, so this is some years later, Georgia actually married Morgan Robinson. And so that's how her name changed to Georgia Ann Robinson, who they say she only knew for 2 weeks. But you know what? They never divorced. And they did have a daughter named Mary Ann. Tell me what you think down below. Do you think you should date a while, or do you think it's okay to marry somebody you don't known for only 2 weeks? So in 1916, LA needed some cops. You see, men were leaving. They were going off to war and to battle, and the streets were left unsafe. So they were recruiting women to do some of these police officer jobs, and in particular, Black women. And the reason Black women is because the National Association of Colored Women's Clubs were pushing and lobbying of city officials, police officers, corporations, a little bit of everybody to hire Black women. So, and they were trying to kind of redefine what the image of Black women, which at the time was like everybody thought they were sex workers. And so they were trying to redefine them. Listen, I don't think there's a thing wrong with us being police officers either, but I think we kind of jumped the shark. We went way to the strong aspect versus, us being there in the middle. So these women, they began to sign up. Now, the thing about it, though, is not everybody could sign up to be a cop there in LA. I don't know what the rules are now, but back in 1916, they were really strict. You had to be between the ages of 30 and 44. You had to be married, and you had to hold a degree in education and or nursing. So clearly these ladies were not going to be in a foot chase race, chasing bad guys. Now, she was sworn in on June the 10th, 1919, because she was one of the few women who were able to meet all these qualifications. She actually was also with the first white woman who was a police officer also. So her name was Alice Stibbins Wells. So together here they start this job, two women in a very male dominated world. Now they put Georgia in like the juvenile and women on women's cases. So this is what she dealt with. But you know what? She showed herself heroic many times. She rescued two women. One time when there was a car accident, she searched for missing girls and even kidnapped children. So she was a very active person in the police force, and she did a great job. Now, can you imagine doing all that in the early 1900s? The thing was, they gave her a paycheck and they let her be a cop. I can tell you something else, though. They did not give her a lot of things that most police officers have, like a gun, handcuffs, and a police car. So these things they did not give her. So she was at a disadvantage when it came to dealing with these criminals. And in 1928, this is when her career ended dealing with one of these criminals. You see, a prisoner banged her head on the jail bars. And in that moment, in a split second, she went permanently blind. So she never recovered her sight after this incident. And she had to retire after 12 years. So that's how Georgia's career ended. But she was a very important part of the LA Police Department. People are finally starting to recognize the work that she did. But in 1954, they actually did a write up on her in Ebony magazine. Now, Georgia passed at 82 on September the 21st in 1961. And so she lived a very full life even after she left the police department, but she was permanently blind. So what do you think about that? I mean, oh my goodness, to not have a gun, not have handcuffs, and you are here chasing, criminals and not really, even if they are women, because that's what she was dealing with, mostly women. You still didn't have the protection that you needed. But she answered the call to protect her community, to protect her home, and she was the first Black woman to be sworn in as a police officer, and she was in Los Angeles. So, have you ever heard of Georgia? Y'all put your comments down below. What do you think about Georgia? I mean, again, we never are taught about this. Black History Month comes and goes, and I think it's important to know that our history is all year long, and I like to teach it all year long. And I want to appreciate you for joining me for another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. Now, my lectures are for entertainment and educational purposes only, and the Fair Act use is in effect. And y'all continue to learn, and I really appreciate you for liking, sharing, and subscribe. Y'all also hype the video. It also pushes it through the algorithm and let these AI people know that Lady T is on the scene and Royal Black and Elite is important to our Black history. So thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you on another great episode.